Man extinguished. The world of humanity, garden of terraform paradise seemed strangely empty to the Q. Often there were no raw material available other than people. Their cities and a few basic niches of ecology populated by genetically modified animal and planet from Earth. This was because humans had erased the original alien ecology in the first place. Often by another race trying to remake the universe, the Ku set forth to punish these infidels by using them as the building material of their vision. While this led to a complete extinguishment of human sentience, it also saved the species by preserving its genetic heritage in a myriad of strange new forms. Populated by irrested humans, now in every guise from wild animal to pet to genetically modified too. Ku reigned supreme for 40 million years on the world of our galaxy. They erected kilometer-high monuments and changed the surface of the entire world, apparently to whim. One day, they departed as they had come, for there was a never-ending quest, and they would not stop until they had swept through the entire cosmos. Behind them, the Ku left 1,000 worlds, each filled with bizarre creatures and ecologies that had once been men. Most of them perished right after their caretaker left. Others lasted a little longer to succumb to long-term instability on a period. Precarious fields were descendants of people actually managed to survive. In them lay in the fate of the species now divided and differentiated beyond recognitions. Worms. Their world lay under a scorching sun. It intensely made monstrous through the interventions of the bygone Ku. The surface lay littered with hearts of dead cities, baking endlessly like shattered statues in a decorated oven. Yet life remained on this unforgiving place. Forests of crystalline plants blanket the surface, recycling oxygen for the animal life that teemed underground. One such species buried longer than life arm of their ancestor was the sole surviving vulnerable. Furthermore, it was that planet last here of the star people, distorted beyond recognition by genetic modification. They looked for all the world like pale, overgrown worms, tiny feeble feet, and handed modified for digging were all that betrayed their noble heritage. Aside from these organs, all was simplified for the life underground. Their eyes were principled, they lacked teeth, external ear, and the better half of their nervous system. The life of these erased people did not extend beyond digging aimlessly. If they encountered food, they devoured it. If they encountered others of their kind, they sometimes devoured them too. But mostly, they made and multiplied and managed to preserve a single shred of their humanity in their genes. In time, it would do them good. Titans. On the endless savanna of a long-extinguished colonial outpost, enormous beasts roam supreme. More than 40 meters long by terrestrial measurements, these behemoths were actually the transmute offspring of the star people. Several features betrayed their human ancestry. They still retain stubby thumb on their elephanated front feet, now useless for any sort of precise manipulation, except for uprooting trees. They compensated these loss by developing their lower limb into a muscular trunk-like organ that encountered the elephant of Earth past. As bestial as they seemed, the Titans were among the smartest of the reduced submen that remained in galaxy. Their haggling stance allowed for a developed brain and a gradually sentence re-emerged with their lip trunk they fashioned orange wood carving, erected hangar-like devouring, and even began a form of primitive agriculture. With settled life came the inevitable flood of language and literature. Myths and legends of the bygone half-remembered past were told in booming voice across the West Plain. It was easy to see that within a few 100,000 years, humanity could start again with these titanic primitives. Sadly, as a claustrophobic ice age took over the Titans' home, where the gentle giant disappeared, never to return. Predators and prey. Devoted predators were common along humanity's feral world. Most of the time they resembled the vampires, werewolves, and goblins of bygone lords, hunting equally some human prey, with a combination of depredatory. Some hit enormous heads with large killing teeth, others tore their victims apart with talon-like feet. But the most common kind bore modified finger and thumb, bristling with razor-sharp claws. The most efficient of these predators live on one of mankind's first of were colonies. In addition to paw-like hands with switchblade tongues, they also had grabbing, tooth-studded jaws, and disproportionate head with large sensitive ears. All this served to make them the dominant predators on their home planet. They ran the prairie, stalked the forest, and ranged through the mountain in pursuit of different people. Herbivorous saltators with bird-like legs, while their prey lapsed into complete animosity. The hunter managed to keep the spark of intelligence alive in their evolutionary haunting. Mental. Not all the wild people lapsed into complete bestiality. Some had on their mind, while losing all of their psychological advantage to the genetic meddling of the coup. A singular species was a prime example. They had been bred as singer and memory retainer, acting much like living recorder during the reign of Ku. When their master left, they buried Swai, retrieving into the quadruped stance and occupying a niche as grazing herd animal. This change was so abrupt that the newly evolved Mentalopes endured only due to the forgiving sterility of their artificial biosphere. The Mentalope, equipped with full, if slightly numbered, human mind and completely disabled animal bodies, lived agonizingly. They could see and understand the world around them, but due to their bodies, they could do nothing to change it. For centuries, mournful herd roamed the plain, singing songs of desperation and lose entire religion. An oral tradition were woven around this crippling racial disability, as dramatic and detailed as any on bygone Earth. Fortunately, the selective force of evolution made their agony a short-lived one. Simply put, a brain was not advantageous to develop. If it could not be put into good use, a dim-witted half-witted Mentalop grew up faster than a smart one, and grazed just as efficiently. The Mentalope animal children overtook them in less than 100,000 years, and their mechalotic were fell silent for good. Nothing was scared in the evolutionary process.
Swimmers. Perhaps because their life cycle involved an aquatic larval stage, the Q had transmuted a large number of their human subjects into a bewildering array of aquatic creatures, taken care of by specially bred attendants. These post-human water babies came in every shape and size imaginable. There were limbless, ribbon-like varieties of eel people, huge whale-like behemoths, decorative people who swam by squirting water out of their hypertrophied mouths, and horrifying multitudes of brainless wallowers that served as food stock. All of them were perfectly domesticated. All of them went extinct when their masters left. All save a few lightly mutated, generalized forms. These swimmers still resembled their human ancestors to a large degree. They had no artificial gills. Their hands were still visible. Through their front flippers, their feet were splayed affairs that functioned like a pair of tail flukes. Recognizably, human eyes peeked through their blubbery eyelids, and they spoke to each other, though not in words and never in sentient understanding. For millennia, they swam the oceans of their ecologically stunted world, feeding on diversifying kinds of fish and crustaceans, survivors of the food stock originally imported from Earth. With the intervention of the Q gone, natural selection resumed. The swimmers became more streamlined to better catch their fast prey. The prey responded by getting even faster or evolving defensive countermeasures such as armor, spikes, or poison. Their evolution. Back on track, the swimmers drifted further and further away from their sentient ancestry. They would wait for a long time indeed to taste that blessing again.
Lizard herders. They were the lucky ones. Instead of unrecognizably distorting them, as they had done to most of their subjects, the Q had merely erased their sentience and stunted the development of their brains, distantly resembling their ancient forebears on Earth. The primitives led feral lives for an unnaturally long time. They never regained sentience after the coup left, despite having every incentive to do so. This was partially due to the total absence of predators on their garden world, resulting in no advantage for intelligence. Furthermore, the Q had made some small but integral changes to their brains, tweaking with the structure of cerebellum so that certain features associated with heuristic learning could never emerge again. Once again, the reasons for these baffling changes remained known only to the Qui. The dumb people eventually settled in a symbiosis with some of the other creatures that inhabited their planet. They began to instinctively farm some of the large herbivorous reptiles, ancestors of which were brought from Earth as pets. Soon the balance of this mutualism began to tip in the reptiles' favor. The tropical climate of the planet gave them an inherent advantage, and they underwent a spectacular radiation of different species. They encountered no competition from the only large mammals on the planet, the brain-neutered descendants of the starfarers. Faced with a reptilian turnover, the only adaptation the submen could muster was to slip quietly into bestial oblivion. Temptor. In the Temptor's case, the remodeling was done with an almost artistic enthusiasm. How they managed to survive in their bizarre form was not clear. Their ancestors were used as sessile decoration, and through some miracle of adaptation, they had endured. No human would have recognized them as their descendants. The females were beaked cones of flesh, some 2 meters tall, rooted in soil like grotesque carnivorous plants. The males, on the other hand, resembled contorted bipedal monkeys. Unlike their mates, they were perfectly ambulatory. Dozens of them ran around the females, mounds like so many imps. Some would gather food, others would clean the females, while others would stand on guard for danger. Although their actions looked purposeful, the males had no will of their own. In Temptor society, females controlled everything, using a combination of vocal and pheromonal signals. They guided the masculine hordes into any number of menial tasks, while mating with the strongest, the most obedient, and the dumbest to produce even better drones. On certain periods, they would also give birth to a few precious females who would be carried away by subservient males to root themselves. It was a terribly efficient hegemony that would certainly give rise to civilization in a matter of centuries had fate not intervened. As a stray comet obliterated the Temptor's mound forests, one of humanity's best chances for re-emergence was cruelly swept away. Bone Crusher. Through the deliberate modifications of Q and the blind molding of evolution, the heavens came to be populated with creatures that would put the myths of their ancestors to shame. Their ancestors were pint-sized pets of Keku that were bred for the dazzling colors of their tooth-derived beaks. When their masters left, most of these pampered creatures died, with no one or nothing left to take care of them. But some belonging to the hardiest breeds survived. In less than a geological eye blink of a few million years, the descendants of such creatures radiated into the evolutionary vacuum of their garden world. One lineage led to a profusion of human herbivores, These were preyed upon by a variety of enamel-beaked raptors, each evolved to deal with a specific prey. Among these generalized niches were entire assemblages of specialized animals resembling anything, from ibis-billed swamp sifters to splendorous forms with bizarre crests that flared out of their toothy beaks. There were even secondarily sentient forms in the shape of the ogre, like bone crushers. To an observer of today, they would indeed be the stuff of nightmares, 3 meters tall and hairy, sporting vicious thumb claws and enormous beaks that suited their scavenging diet. Despite their shortcomings, these corpse-eating primitives were one of the first species to attain intelligence and, although primitive, a level of civilization. All of this proved the fallacy of human prejudice. In the post-human galaxy, a creature could feed on putrefying meat, stink like a grave, and express its affection by defecating on others. But it might as well be your own grandchild and the last hope of mankind. In eventuality, however, not even the bone crushers fulfilled this promise. Their dependency on carrion for food limited their population severely, and their medieval civilizations crumbled after. A few uneventful millennia. Colonials. Their world had given the toughest resistance against the Q onslaught. So tough, in fact, that they had turned back 2 successive waves of the invaders, only to succumb to the 3rd. The Q, with their twisted sense of justice, wanted to make them pay. Even extinction would be too light a punishment for resisting. The star gods, the humans of the rogue world, needed a sentence that would remind them of their humiliation for generations to come. So they were made into disembodied cultures of skin and muscle, connected by a skimpy network of the most basic nerves. They were employed as living filtering devices, subsisting on the waste, products of Q civilization like mats of cancer cells, and just to witness and suffer their wretched fate, their eyes, together with their consciousness, were retained. For 40 million years they suffered, generation after generation, were born into the most miserable of lives while absorbing the pain of all that they were going through. When the Q left, they hoped for a quick extinction, but their lowliness had also made them efficient survivors. Unchecked by the Q, the colonials spread across the planet in quilt-like fields of human flesh. After an eternity of tortured lives, the human fields tasted something that could almost be described as hope.